Good morning, aloha. Welcome to the first video shot at Aina Bear Farms. It's a really exciting day. This is our new 4-acre farm on the Big Island of Hawaii. So I will be taking you on a full tour of what is mostly a blank slate property. You can see this gigantic lawn in the front. If you see at the top of the hill, I'll take you up there in a second. We've started to break ground on the vegetable market garden. There's the house at the top of the hill. We do have some older established fruit trees, which we'll take a look at in a minute. And then acres of pasture, which we'll also walk around before we finish the video. And I'll be talking a little bit about the design layout here, of how we're thinking through our approach, and we'll make a lot of separate little videos so that you can see the transformative process. All right, we're at the top of the property now. You can see yesterday, the kids, we established some contour lines on this slope. We are going to be putting our vegetable beds on contour mostly. We wanted to have the benefits of slowing down any erosion and making sure that we're catching as much water as possible. We do get a lot of rain here, about 90 inches a year, but we go through intense hot and dry periods like right now. It is July, and this grass, which was just beautiful green when I first came here, is now already starting to turn brown. And there you can see the gorgeous ocean view. The best view you could ever hope to ask for when you're taking a break from farming. It can be a little distracting, but inspiring. You can see the sun rising over the ocean. So this entire hillside will be covered with vegetable beds going down the hill. And we'll shoot a separate video on how we're going to do that layout and how we're doing the contour lines and everything. And then we'll be putting in some extra fruit trees as we get closer to the driveway and closer to the bottom of the hill as well. All right, I'm going to talk about what's already existing here in terms of fruit tree production. Right in front of me is a very mature avocado tree. If I get a little closer, we can see some avocados hanging, and that is just super exciting to inherit that. To my left here, I believe, is nectarine. Not doing so hot. Definitely in need of some serious pruning. This might actually be peach. I do see one fuzzy little fruit up at the top. But we will try to see if we can revive this guy. He's a little bit out of his element here. We're at 1,000 feet up, so it is a cooler climate, but not that cool. So let's see what we can do. As you see underneath the fruit trees, we just have grass. So one of the projects we'll be taking on in the short term will be to unify this space with a much better ground management system, some mulch, some ground covers, some other supporting plants. Right now it's just trees standing in a grassy field. In addition to the avocado, we've got several citruses. There's, I know, Tahitian lime, Tangelo, and one or two others that I don't remember at the moment, or I haven't been able to for sure identify yet. This is another kind of sad looking peach tree. Again, they're a little out of their element here, but I think with some care and some management, we may be able to bring them back and get some peaches out of it. That would be great. Another avocado tree. This one is loaded with avocados. There's probably 100 in there right now. Hoping for a fairly steady supply of avocado. There is a mango right around the corner. Oh, this in the foreground, I'm pretty sure is lychee. It did not produce fruit here yet, but they're kind of finicky and known for not producing fruit unless you do some things with them. So we'll come back to that at some point. The mango, I've seen a lot of mango trees in this area and none of them have fruit on them, and I've asked around and found out that there's a common fungal disease that hits mangoes around here because it's so wet. And so we're doing some research into some resistant varieties and then some, you know, just organic management techniques that and correct placement. That's definitely not a good placement for this mango. It's jammed up under the partial shade of the avocado, and we want a mango to be full sun, just full blast all day. A lot of air moving around it, maybe even prune it so that you can get extra air moving around it and reduce the moisture, and then I think we can overcome the fungal issue. A couple other fruit trees as we get closer to the house. I have a white guava here, not ready yet of course, but good size plant. I'm excited about guavas. I think people here take them for granted because they're just everywhere. They grow wild here quite a bit, but they're delicious. Here we've got a pretty good size mountain apple, which I have actually never eaten. So I'm excited that my first mountain apple will be from my own tree. And sneak under here and you can see them. I believe these are ones that turn red, so they definitely get bigger, and you know, they're ripe when they turn red. As we keep panning around, this is red ohia. This is a native Hawaiian tree that's really important for native ecosystems, native culture. It's just a beautiful, really cool tree. The Big Island is hit hard with a fungal disease that is killing a lot of ohia. They call it rapid ohia death. And hopefully, I mean, these trees look really healthy. I'll do everything I can to keep them as so. There's a really neat flowering tree called Pua Kini Kini. Try to zoom in on the flowers. It's one of those moments where you really wish that YouTube could transmit smells, because the smell of this flower is unbelievable. And as you're sitting in the morning and staring out over the ocean, drinking your coffee, and the smell of the Pua Kini Kini wafting by, it's just, you couldn't ask for anything better. So this is going to be the main entrance to the future food forest. As we pan around, it's really hard to see. I'll try to zoom in. Our property line goes all the way back to where the larger trees are in the background there. I'll walk the length of the pasture just so we can look at a couple of what I think of as key spots in there. But first and foremost, the entire pasture, and this was used as a pasture for years. They had 2 cows in here. So the whole pasture is surrounded by fence with barbed wire, which is good because it will at least be an attempt at keeping the wild pigs out. They tend to come and dig anything up that you're trying to do, and just they're very destructive. So I've cut a hole in the barbed wire right here. This is right by the house. This will be the main entrance to the food forest, and I'll probably leave most of the fence in place and even probably replace this gap with a gate of some type. But I needed something that was easier to move in and out of, felt more welcoming than barbed wire. And then for the kids, you know, just to be able to move freely without worrying about them hitting the barbed wire. All right, so in a moment I will take you on a quick walk around and we'll take a look at the future food forest. Okay, so bear with me as we make our way through here. It's a jungle of what they call guinea grass, and grows really fast when there's moisture. It's funny, everyone I talked to about this property, they were very concerned about the grass and how it was gonna, you know, grow so fast and overwhelm everything and just become a jungle. In my mind, you know, and I very politely would smile and take heed of those warnings. But in my mind, I'm just thinking like, oh, good, more biomass. So, yeah, I mean, this is just all biomass at the moment, and I'm just taking it very patiently, really, and thinking, well, when I'm ready to start clearing, I'll do one piece at a time. One of the things I've learned from my years at Elderbear Farm was to not start doing work, like clearing work in particular, until you are ready to replace what you took away. Because everything you cleared will just come right back and you'll have to do it all over again. And I think that's a lot of what the warnings people are giving, is kind of like, you have to keep clearing it and clearing it and clearing it. What I've learned is like, well, just clear it when you're ready to clear it, and then you'll establish something else in its place that will slow down its growth. So once we have our nitrogen fixing trees out here that are fast growers, that'll get some canopy up and outcompete some of these grasses, at least to some degree, and then provide some initial shade and protection for our fruit trees, then we'll be good to go. So as we make our way through, I'm kind of following what it was probably a cow path. Not on contour, but it gets us through the grass at the moment. But we come to a clearing area that I, after walking the property many times, have come to recognize as kind of like this heart of the property, and it's already more clear anyways. So I'm heading to the top of it. Pan around here. A little hard to see with the sun, but the views from here are amazing. It's sort of dead center. You can look back towards the house. Dead center in the pasture. And I want to use this area, definitely want to keep it open, and use it somewhat recreationally. So maybe we'll put like a little deck out here, some chairs, fire pit, something like that. Set up some tents or, you know, anything if we need shade or we want to just camp out here at night. But I want to keep this open, and it'll be surrounded on both sides by forest eventually. But we'll keep that middle lane more or less open so that we can retain the view while we're enjoying sitting out here. As I look up, you can see one of the neighbors is staring at me as I film. Hello, sweetie. And that is the neighboring property, which obviously is still being used as pasture. Now that is the slope of Mauna Kea. It just keeps going up and up and up and up and up. Tallest mountain in the world from base to top, from underneath the ocean. And then that, off in the distance, is Haleakala volcano on Maui. So we just cannot beat the views here. And we'll try, even as we fill a lot of this in with trees, to retain some of that at least. So what I'm initially thinking is that we will find a starting spot, and I haven't quite determined what that is yet, but we will put in, we'll start clearing, we'll find our first contour. This is a slope, I'm going to guess something around maybe 5 to 10%. It's not too bad in most places. There are some more extreme areas, like down there it drops towards the gulch. You can see like some banana trees down there in the background, and down there's a pretty steep gulch down there that is dry unless it's raining, and or maybe in the winter it runs all the time. But we'll find our first contour lines, cut a path, and then start installing more or less tree guilds. And so we'll be thinking about, okay, you know, like take breadfruit, for example. If I find a path here, I flatten the path somewhat to create a little bit of a swale and berm. I'm not going to go too crazy, but we do want to retain the water somewhat and certainly slow down any erosion. But put a breadfruit in this area if this is going to be, you know, the focal fruit. I'll have breadfruit, maybe one bigger nitrogen fixer like an ice cream bean or something, maybe a couple of smaller nitrogen fixers, albizia or something that we would keep pruning, you know, prune and mulch, chop and drop. And then a few supporting plants. So put in some stuff. So, I mean, one of the biggest things that you'll notice from this pasture, this kind of meadow, is that it's really lacking in flowers. There are a few tiny flowers here and there, but love to increase that. And especially, you know, I mentioned like keeping the middle part open. We'll have plenty of edge in here. Make sure we don't enclose it in full canopy tropical rainforest, dark jungle where the sun never touches the ground. We'll have spots like that for sure, but we want to maintain some openings so we get some edge. We can get some good flowers on the edges. So I'll have flowers in those guilds. We'll have some supporting plants like comfrey here and there. You know, just typical permaculture guilds, and we'll be slowly just connecting them via the contour paths and finding out how the land really wants to be set up as we go, and then sort of connect the dots in a way. And you know, it took me 9 years to build out a half acre, but a lot of that was limited by money, and I'm fortunate to have some startup here that's going to help do a little bit more initial investment than I was able to do at the last property. And so I think that will move things along quite a bit. And then time, I'm back to teaching, so I've got my summers off again and just the larger chunks of break time in school. So hopefully I'll be able to spend a lot of time out here, and the weather's nice all year round, so I don't have to take the long breaks when there's snow on the ground and, you know, all that type of stuff. So long story short, sort of a blank slate at this point. I mean, there's a lot of great stuff here. I kind of think of all this as like infrastructure. It's like it's getting ready to be a forest. But design wise, it's quite a blank slate. It's pretty exciting. So stay with us and keep an eye out for more videos. We'll be shooting a lot of videos as we transform this, and you know, let us know throughout the process if you have questions in the comments section, or suggestions, definitely, especially if you're on island. There's so many resources that I need to be able to tap into, people and physical resources to do this successfully. And yeah, I look forward to hearing from you, and any other and other videos where you would just like to see something gone to more in depth, or just a subject that we haven't covered that you think might be applicable to what we're doing. So we're excited to be here. We're excited to have you guys along with us. Aloha, and we'll see you back here at Aina Bear Farms really soon.